No matter where you go, you are an ambassador of your country, your people, whatever those people may be, to the people who you are visiting. So if you are an American visiting Scotland, be a good ambassador of America to Scotland.
Absolutely. And that's going to come out in little things that you do and little things you don't do. Like we were saying, you don't want to bore people with conversation, or you don't want to make assumptions about their time or their ability to help you with a problem you're having. Just treat them in a civil manner, and try not to be intrusive or overbearing as you would with anybody, really.
Yeah. A lot of times, we as Americans think about it this way. There's two Scotlands. There is the historical, romanticized Scotland that we think about through Outlander and through Braveheart and Rob Roy and Robert the Bruce movies and everything like that. There is that Scotland, and it exists, and it is steeped in history and culture.
Yep.
There is also current Scotland that has thriving businesses. They actually use computers, not just pigeons. It's there. It is a country where people live, and business is done.
Right.
So it's not stood still in time, although we have this kind of romanticized view of it.
Right.
So when you go over there and want to talk all history all the time, the people that live there, who've lived there their entire lives, may not share the same love of history, just like, America. Some Americans don't love history as much as you do, and may not know or want to hear about your entire family backstory. Although it's important to you and it's important to us, it may not be important to, John Calhoun. I'm thinking Joe Smith, John Calhoun, over in Scotland. So just be, as Eric was saying, be respectful of people's times and kind of take social cues. If they're kind of like, yep, okay, yeah, I know you're really the Robert the Bruce. All right, I got it. Then just understand that, they're humans just like we are.
Yeah.
I guess they're human. Yeah, they're humans. Now, they're people just like us. Absolutely, we'll edit the heck out of this video. But they're humans in the same way.
And they got things to do. Yeah. They got lives. A lot of Scottish people, for instance, don't really know or acknowledge what clan they're a member of.
Yeah.
Or if you ask them about their tartan, or if you say, "Oh, you're a Calhoun, I love your tartan," they'll be like, "Sure." They don't necessarily dive into that historical culture the way we as people in the diaspora do. Yeah. And so you want to make sure that you're being respectful, and you don't want to embarrass them. Occasionally, and this happens in other countries too, by the way, where someone who's really passionate about the history and culture of a country will really dive into it, and then they go to that country and they meet people who are just trying to get on with their lives. They're just working and dealing with modern life, and they have other interests. Maybe they're into football or something like that, but they're not interested in history. And if you ask them all these questions and you're expecting them to be able to respond, it can actually be embarrassing for them. You're kind of like, wow, I don't know my own culture as well as this Yankee does. And that can be a weird space you don't want to get into. So
I'll draw a parallel to that exact point. If somebody came up to me or you as Americans and with a Scottish accent or an Indian accent or whatever, and was like, your government is amazing. The fact that you have 3 houses and this and this and this and the Constitution, and went and started reciting the Constitution and the houses and legislature and all this kind of stuff and different state levels, and they just started talking circles about all the stuff we learned in social studies in 4th grade, and I can't remember all of it right now.
Right.
I might be like, yeah, that's right. But I may not remember every single detail that the person who's obviously very excited and obviously did a lot of research on their own time because they love it feels. It may put me in an awkward position of feeling like I'm a bad American if I don't know, the entire order of all the presidencies and what every single one of their names were, what political party they were, yada, yada, yada.
Tell me more about Article 17, Rocky. That's my personal favorite. I actually did a whole blog entry on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want
to came after Article 16? Which was my favorite, so I'm sorry. We're going to have to not discuss this.
Okay. But there's going to be to put the flip on it, like you just did. There will be certain cliches that some people you may encounter may have, or misconceptions they have about Americans. Like a lot of Scotsmen and people in the UK in general, the only states of the United States they are sure they know are like New York, Texas, and California. and it can be a little challenging for them to grok where you're from, or they'll ask you geographical questions, like, oh, well, that's nearby San Francisco, right? It's like, no, that's basically 4,000 miles away. Little things like that are going to happen. The trick is avoiding the awkwardness and finding the fun for both you and the person you're talking to. And it's not that hard, really. Just take your time, be patient.
Yeah, basically reverse the roles. If the person was asking you some questions that you didn't understand or know the answers to, how would you feel about it? Yeah, just be a good ambassador about the kind of things.
And conversely, you may find some geeks over there who really are into the stuff you're into and have been dying to have somebody to talk to about.
Especially the docents, especially the tour guides.
The docents and the guides, or if you find somebody who is, in fact, works around the clan seat. They may know a lot of local history. They may know a lot of history of your clan and be happy to talk about it.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I'm going to kind of take this in a slightly more positive direction.
Sure.
Generally, the most underrated thing is the human being, the human race. There are absolutely some horrible people that, are just, horrible people and jerks. And if you're lying in the street bleeding, they would kick you and steal your wallet. That will happen at some point. But for the majority of humans in general, we're going to bend down, we're going to help the person, we're going to call the cops, we're going to call an ambulance. It's people generally want to be nice. They want to be good humans because they would want the same thing done for them. So if you are a tourist and you're over there and you need help, just ask people. The Irish people, the Scottish people I know and run into all the time, they are genuinely good people. So there's not a whole lot of difference between the Scots and the Irish and Americans in that way. We're all human beings trying to get on, and if I'm there trying to experience their culture, I'm showing respect for their culture, I'm being nice to them, and I have an honest question, or I need some help. Chances are, if you're down in the tube in London, or if you're needing to use the public transit system, someone will be there to help you. Or even if you just ask some guy standing next to you, hey, does this train go to Edinburgh? And you're not trying to do a fake accent and, pretend you're Scottish. No. We didn't even touch on that. But if you're an honest human trying to, ask honest questions and just being a nice person, they're generally going to be like, sure, they'll help you in the same way you would help them.
Yeah. Don't put on airs. Don't try to do the whole, I speak your language, fake accent thing, because they'll see right through it in a second. It's the little things like that. Just be genuine, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you'll get those positive reactions like you were talking about.
Absolutely.
As long as you're genuine, they're going to be genuine back.
Yeah.